All is not well within the Social Democratic Front of Nijon Frundi with the constant media outings between Honorable Joshua Osi and Honorable Ninchu. And many persons are asking what is not going well. Is it already the battle to replace Nijon Frundi, who earlier on announced that once a convention for that party is held in Cameroon, he was going to pass a hand to some other person to move on with the destiny of the party. We are going to be discussing about the brouhaha between Honorable Ninchu and Joshua Osi on this edition of the program. We equally are going to be looking at the vaccine for COVID-19, asking why it is causing a lot of problems with some nations across the globe, suspending the administration of this vaccine in their respective countries, especially in Europe and Cameroon. We are going to be looking at the national policy to fight COVID-19 with our panelists who already are seated in the house. Good evening, televiewers. You're welcome to this edition of Prime Hour. We are in the company of our consultant who is seated Apostle Ambi Valentine Gwa. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. Good evening, Cameroonians. Good evening, my co-panelists and viewers of Prime Hour. It's always a joy to be here to discuss heart-burning issues that concern our nation, Cameroon, Africa, and the world. Thank you for being our audience tonight.
We are also in the company of Dr. Simo Maxel. She is representing the CPDM party on this platform. Bonsoir et bienvenue.
Merci Léo, merci aux co-panélistes, merci à vos milliers de téléspectateurs. C'est un plaisir d'être là, dans votre maison. Notre maison, dorénavant, je vais dire ça comme ça. C'est un plaisir.
Bienvenue. I also am welcoming Akwenba Nadia. She is the Vice President for the PCRN movement of Honorable Cabral Libi. She's in charge of the ladies of the diaspora. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Mr. Com. Good evening to my co-panelists. Good evening to all the televiewers of My Media Prime. It's a privilege being your invitee on this very prestigious platform of yours. I want to send a special salutations to all the viewers. You know, they always take out time on their busy schedule to be able to watch us. So I am happy to know that you're always there for us. Thank you.
And special greetings to Honorable Cabral Libino.
I always greet him. He's my president, so he always owns my greetings. So I greet you, sir.
Okay, and also with us today is Damai Jarvis. He's going to be sitting in to accompany us discuss these two key topics. Good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Yo. Good evening, Yaoundé. Good evening, Bamenda. Good evening, Boya. Good evening, Baba Jude.
Okay. We are expecting to be discussing with Ndifo Richard from the United States of America. He is a sympathizer of the STF, and also with Ndi Chi Diodone, who is a youth leader within the STF party. He's supposed to join us from Yaoundé. I don't know whether any of them is available. Good evening, Ndifo Richard.
Well, I am not able to. I don't know if you get it. I'm not getting sound.
Good evening. We can get you.
Oh, all right. Good evening. Thanks for having me. My pleasure with your program. I hope I'll be able to get sound, and I'm really having a hard time having the sound from that.
I'll start the program with you. I don't know whether Chi Diodone is available. Good evening, Chi. Okay, if he's not there, I'll stay with Ndifo Richard. Ndifo Richard, can you paint the picture of what is happening within your party, the Social Democratic Front? What is happening?
Yes, thank you so much, Leonard. I have been following the event in the party. I think that it's just a normal thing that any democratic party, any party that's vibrant, SDF, it is very common to find individuals with different ideas and different views. If in the United States we have people with different views within the Democratic Party and even with the Republican Party. It is nothing strange to find that Ninche and Osi have some differences in their opinion. What I find disturbing is that these opinions are being taken to case. But I think that those are the expression of democracy, and it only tells us that the SDF is not a party where individuals have monopoly of opinions, and that they do not tolerate others checking their opinions. So I think that only tells how healthy democracy is within the SDF.
Okay, and for Richard thinks that it is an expression or a show of democracy, like I coined the topic for tonight. Are you very comfortable with what you are getting from within the Social Democratic Front?
He might have said that is a show of democracy, but it's very disheartening to realize that what is eating the beans is within the bean seat.
Okay.
It's so shameful to realize that a political party that has built a very strong democratic image in the country like SDF is acting like a communist party at the end. Why would I say so? John Frundi is a role model and a pathfinder to practical democracy in this country, and we must applaud that. In 1992, he won the elections, and like any other opposition leader, was supposed to have driven this nation into a civil war. But as a sportsman and a very intelligent political technocrat, he managed his emotions not to allow Cameroonians enter into bloodshed. That one should be applauded. And I think Don Fundi is a role model and a pathfinder to the concept of democracy in this country. And then secondly, a party chairman who is still alive, but he hands the flag bearer of the party. He's still the chairman. He hands the flag bearer of the party to another person. That was done in Mamenda when they had their meeting. They gave it to Honorable Joshua Osi, even though he was a chairman but not a flag bearer. That's the democracy. That is, you are still alive and you are handing power. Not the one that you must die as a king before somebody replaces you. That's not democracy. It's monarchism. A monarchical style of government. So I think that he has given, then now he's still alive, and then he's resigning as a chairman of the party, and then giving opportunity for the youngsters to come and take on responsibility. I think that should be applauded for the 28 years that the CPSDF has been in this country. Even if Frundi never sat on the Cameroonian seat in the presidency, I think Frundi has been a very good example of practical democracy, and that should be applauded. Now, to realize that his own proteges that grew under him, people whom he has imparted life and integrity in them, he has inspired them on how to live in integrity, in peace and in oneness. Ninche and Osi come now and they are wrestling for chairmanship. They are fighting, because if you look at the kind of insults that they rain on each other, different media platforms, both the TV medias and written media, social media platforms, they throw insults on each other. It shows that these people are power mongers. Why would I say so? These persons in question are parliamentarians. There are people who have ruled the party for many years. I think at the level where they are right now, Joshua Osi should not even be vying in for another office. Being the flag bearer of the party is sufficient. He was supposed to have just kept himself somewhere and allow a longer generation or somebody else to take up the responsibility. If he is the flag bearer of a party and he is still contesting for chairmanship, it's like the greedy hunter.
Yeah, but he's not contesting. I don't know where is he said that he's contesting.
This battle, it is not publicly displayed with no political manifestation. Everybody is trying to project an image that the population will see him as the better party. That's what is happening right now. There is a Cold War, and the Cold War, words are not thrown in the air. It's actions that speak better. Each of them is trying to sabotage the image of the other, so they will look him as a better candidate. It's like a greedy hunter after harvesting an elephant. He sees a grasshopper by the roadside. He's trying to harvest it. What are these persons still fighting again for? Ninche in question and Osi in question. So I think that they should not sabotage and they should not make a mockery of the blueprint of democracy that John Frundi has left in this country.
Yeah, but when you say Joshua Osi is attacking, I have not seen him attack. He signed a petition against the U.S. Congress members, and then suddenly everybody's attacking him.
No, Ninche attacked that.
Yes.
Ninche attacked that. When he has gone to different media platforms, we have asked him questions, and his response will tell you, fight is not like that. He was here, and you interviewed him here, and you heard his response. I followed up the program. I'm not a novice in Cameroonian politics. I followed the response. There are technical way of responding to somebody by insulting. I can insult Nadia on this floor without she knowing. uses a kind of euphemism to communicate something very hard in a very nice manner. So I think that we should be very, very tactical. We are talking as political analysts, as men who have heard the words from their mouth. There is a power tussle. If not, you will not come here and say brouhaha. The word brouhaha in English means there is a noise. There is something shaking somewhere. So if we come and we put a topic that we cannot address the topic, then there's something wrong with us.
Docteur Simo, est-ce que vous avez l'impression que ça n'y va pas dans la machine du SDF à ce moment-là?
Parlant du SDF, je peux être d'accord sur un élément avec votre consultant, mais je suis un peu gêné que l'on parte du conflit Oshi-Nietzsche et qu'on parle de démocratie, non, ça fait problème. Je veux bien qu'on parle de démocratie dans le SDF.
Oui.
C'est-à-dire c'est l'esprit que le père fondateur, je vais dire ça comme ça, a développé, cet esprit démocratique où il y a libre manière de penser et d'agir. Voilà l'esprit que le père fondateur avait mis sur pied. Mais malheureusement, l'évolution du temps nous permet de voir autre chose, parce que au fil des années, parce que lorsqu'on parle de ces deux individus, que ce soit l'honorable Nietzsche ou l'honorable Oshi, ce sont quand même des personnes, des deux hommes politiques de poigne, et puis des vieilles personnes sur le plan ou alors dans la vie du SDF. Ce n'est pas des militants d'aujourd'hui, mais ce sont les militants de la première heure, des anciens militants. Mais malheureusement, qui ont des visions ou des perceptions différentes. Parce qu'il faudrait qu'on parte de là. On a un honorable Oshi qui est très tempérant, qui est beaucoup plus doux, contrairement à un honorable Nietzsche qui est beaucoup plus dans une logique de violence. Il faudrait qu'on le dise et qu'on l'observe. Alors maintenant, vous vous rendez compte que les deux personnalités du parti sont dans une lutte de rapports sociaux qui donnent l'impression qu'il y a une guerre de positionnement. Surtout que ça commence à se décliner depuis que le père fondateur, a établi un léger glissement. Parce que quand il était là, si vous observez, faites un peu une anthropologie de ce parti. Lorsqu'il était encore en pause, il y avait beaucoup d'actions qui étaient souterraines. Les voix ne s'entendaient pas, les comportements, on avait l'impression d'être d'accord sur un point de vue. Mais depuis qu'il a établi un léger glissement, tout porte à croire qu'il y en a qui ne sont pas d'accord avec le choix imposé ou alors le choix qui a été fait pour le remplacer. Donc malheureusement, voilà le problème qui se présente, cette guerre de positionnement et qui démontre une fois de plus que l'opposition a du mal, je vais dire, à se mettre debout, parce que ça il faut le dire, à se mettre debout ou alors à épouser sa logique ou son idéologie. C'est dommage, parce que je suis un peu gênée quand j'entends des hommes politiques dire non, l'honorable Nietzsche est un excellent député, il est ci, il dit ce qu'il pense et puis il a émis son point de vue. Je dis ben attendez, on peut avoir les points de vue divergents, ça c'est d'accord. On ne refuse pas, c'est un droit absolu. Mais la logique voudrait que, lorsque mon confrère a un point de vue qui n'épouse pas le mien, que j'adopte une méthode pour lui dire, confrère, je pense que ce que tu as fait n'est pas bon. Voilà comment je vois la situation. Que de l'exposer sur la plate publique ou alors sur la toile de cette manière-là. Et on assiste malheureusement à des tirs de balles. C'est perceptible. L'honorable Oshi qui va se trouver sur un plateau et commencer à vilipender son confrère, ce qui est dommage pour deux personnalités aussi solides d'un parti politique, d'ailleurs le premier parti de l'opposition. Cet élément-là, cette classification-là, on ne va jamais le leur enlever. Tout le monde sait. Hier, quand on parlait de RDPC, tout ce qui était à côté, c'était le SDF. Donc c'est parce qu'aujourd'hui, plusieurs partis politiques pilulent à côté qu'on va croire qu'il y a eu encore un glissement au niveau de la position. Non. Jusqu'aujourd'hui, le SDF reste le premier parti de l'opposition. Mais malheureusement, ou alors vivement, que le chairman se remette sur pied, tape du poing sur la table pour essayer de remettre ces deux enfants, n'est-ce pas, sur le droit chemin.
Nadia, what reading do you make of the standoff between Honorable Joshua C. and Honorable Nietzsche? Is it the fight to take over the command button from Chairman John Fundi?
Well, Mr. Com, SDF has been a very powerful opposition party in Cameroon. This was a party that fought for multipartyism in Cameroon, and today we have diverse parties in Cameroon that are freely exercising the democracy that was, prompted by the SDF. But today, in the midst of SDF, we find a lot of trouble in between them. We find a lot of disorder. We find a lot of, people fighting themselves. And to my own conclusion, I would say that, most political parties today, especially the opposition parties, are faced with the problem of leadership. When I talk of leadership, it means what as the chairman of SDF, which is Pa Nijon, I call him Pa because he's a grandfather to me. As a leader of a party, before you're going to a retirement age, you're supposed to already you build somebody that will be able to take over you, and this should not be creating a lot of noise in the midst of parties. But today we find out that in politics, as we say, politics is a game of lies and all that. Political beings and political men have become we just want a place in the sun, we do not care, and they try to paint images like I am for the population and this other person is against the population, and that's the two images we are having in the midst of SDF. Joshua Osi, people say he's he doesn't care about his people. He is closer to the LDPC, and Nietzsche, who is so proactive, is closer to the people. So that's the idea they have built. They try to tarnish each other as images, and they create a lot of disorder, and this has resulted to kind of we're fighting for a successorship, which is not really true to me, because during the presidential elections we had a Joshua Oshi that really produced a very poor result. This really shows that he is not capable of bringing that party to the peak, because SDF was a party that was really applauded at one point, but today we find SDF really dying because they were the ones that brought this multipartism. They were the ones that brought the dynamic diversity in ideas. But today we find out that in their own party, that diversity of ideas is not really garnished together. So I think that there is a lot of problem. There is a problem of leadership. And Mr. Liu, I also bring you to the problem of tribalism. This tribalism brings a lot of problem in the midst of parties. And I think that it is a tool from the LDPC. They are always there, to divide parties, because in the midst of parties, when we are united, we stand. When we are divided, we fall. So
why are you bringing the CPDM into this?
I bring the CPDM into this because, the CPDM, it's the machine, as we can say, but they always have a means to divide political parties, especially the opposition parties. They always use every means to be able to divide them. That's their own way of ruling. So I think that the hand of the LDPC is in the troubles that
you think
is
that
facing.
The CPDM is telling OC that insult Nietzsche and telling
they are not telling them,
Mr.
Combe, they are not telling them that insult. Insult is a personal thing, and I can also hold, media men, because, at one point they invite Joshua Osi, they invite Nietzsche to be able to confront them, and it creates a lot of noise. So to me, I think that everyone's hand is in it, even the media men like you guys and the SDF. You guys,
why are you blaming us?
I blame you people, because what happened in a TV station or radio station, it's not normal that that there is trouble or there is a problem in a party. You keep adding kerosene to the fire so it blows out. It is a means of the SDF. The LDPC. The LDPC will always use means to be able to divide parties. And I am not saying that the LDPC asks the Nietzsche or OC to insult, but they come and give them some kind of ideas and fill their brains with some kind of things like this person doesn't like you, there is tribalism, this party is for the Bamle case, this party is for the Anglophones. That is the division, and that division is being created by the party on power.
Okay. I don't know whether Ndifo, are you still there?
I'm here, Leonard.
Okay, Ndifo, Richard, you have been following discussions back here in the studio. Some people think that the tussle between these two big wigs of the Social Democratic Front is to some extent because of the fact that the chairman has not clearly chosen who should take over. Is that democratic for you to groom someone to take over the party?
Yeah, thank you so much, Leon. Very good. I hope that I got it clearly. But I want to say the SDF is a democratic party.
I can see you now, sir.
Okay, Chi Simili Chi Jodone is available. Good evening, Chi. How are you?
The sound is not good. I cannot get you, sir.
We get you clearly. Can we have him on the screen? How is Yaoundé this evening?
Sound.
Continue.
Okay, you have to take Democratic Front.
Conflict to understand and as a opposition party. Remember that the party was quiet, and people the fact that we have these factors. Honorable Fundish, His Excellency John Fundi should have appointed or groom somebody. That's not democracy. We are going back to what we blame Cameroon to be. Imagine that President Biya grooms somebody that will take over him. You will be one of the persons to shout that no, it's not democracy. And so we expect that SDF, as it is now, should move on with its plans. Go whoever is eligible takes over. But I appreciate what Apostle said, because vying in for that position, whether that person is coming from far north region, as long as that person is eligible to meet the criteria. I am kind of saddened when I hear talks like CPDM is intruding. No, CPDM is not intruding. If CPDM is intruding, then they are the person inviting CPDM to intrude. CPDM will not come and tell each other you should do this, you should do that. I remember your interview, you asked OC that will SDF or can SDF collaborate with CRM? He said yes. And then when you see the insult that is being traded, this person is saying that Nietzsche is closer to CRM, and this one is saying Nietzsche, this one is closer to CPDM. You get this kind of trading views. To me, what they should be about policies. They should say, okay, if I'm the chairman, or this is what the party should be. But first, Mr. Lewis, as I said, it is a good thing for the party that this conflict is coming, because you are not hearing about other political parties. You're talking about SDF now. Everywhere is SDF, and it's telling us that Fundi has that the view of democracy which he had is coming into fulfillment, to see that people have that ability to compete within the party, within the primary level. Look at what happens in Nigeria. This will happen. If you are a chairman of the party, you don't vie in for any position. That's why you see the PDP chairman of Nigeria is not the person that go in for presidential election. The chairmanship is the guardian, the custodian of the party. But in Cameroon, we tend to see where the chairman wants to be the person to go in. So when Nijon Fundi gave the command baton in 2018, it was the show of democracy to tell them that, okay, it is not me that must become the president, but whoever becomes the president, I command the ship. Like what happened in the CNU party where we had before we had the coup d'etat, when at one point in time Aijo was the chairman and President Biya was the president. So in democratic system, you have a system where the chairman is not someone running for the party. It's the same thing with America. In America, whoever is the chairman of the Republican National Party is someone who is not a senator, not a member of Congress, but someone who is void of this position. So I think that we need somebody in SDF that will talk the story by guiding these politicians to do what they are supposed to do, and not someone who will be honorable and a chairman. If there's a problem with the district of let's say Limbe, and honorable is at the Senate, let's say it's at the parliamentary session, how do you reconcile this problem? You need a chairman that whose function, whose top job is there for the people, not someone who you want to call the person tells you, I'm in the parliamentary session, I'm in the senatorial session, I am this and that, following bills and that and that and that. No. For example, Honorable Nijon Fundi now, wherever he is, you can attend to the problems of the party without telling us that he's at the parliamentary session, the mass session. Those are the kind of things that that I think we should look at.
Okay, our kings, this is good evening, Mr. Liu, and to all in the studio. For me, I think the SDF needs a leader who is vibrant, not people who will spend time moving up and down, struggling to explain their actions. Is that the type of leader that should replace Nijon Fundi?
I think when we are talking about leadership, most of the times we get very frustrated because we think that people's grammatic expressions and their political inclinations qualify them for leadership. There are very outstanding leaders in the SDF party that have proved their worth. I'm not here by any means to trade or commercialize anybody, but I think Mayor John Donatus, who has headed the council somewhere around Kumbo there.
In Kumbo,
has left an indelible mark when it comes to leadership. I'll say that anybody who is not able to manage 100,000 to 1 million is not able to run a nation. What are the credibilities of these leaders we are trying to put into responsibility? Is it because of their political inclinations, their titles, or what? Anybody who is able to take a council, a simple council, because these are the parameters that are supposed to be using to qualify leaders. A man who is given a royal council, if it turns into an urban council or upgrades the standard of the council, he should be given a nation, because micro leadership gives credibility for macro leadership. Micro gives birth to macro. Anybody who has not heard, can you tell me what Ninche or OC have done so far in terms of environmental, infrastructural, economic, and educational development since they have been sitting in the parliament? We are talking about entitlement with that. We are talking about titles with that entitlement. What have they accomplished? John Donatus took the Kumbo Council. I don't know him. I've never met him. I don't come to trade.
And nobody was able to take it for 25 years. I'm sure. Yeah.
And you look at the way he managed the Kumbo. People can attest to the fact that the job he did there was outstanding. Those are the kind of person you can start envisaging that, okay, in case peradventure, you can pick him and put as a chairman. If tomorrow he stands out to become the president of a nation, the idea he used to grow a micro community, he can still take the same principles to develop a nation. Those are the kind of, and those are persons who are hidden somewhere there in the SDF party sitting quiet, which is very, very important for us to go into. We'll check into those files. Coming back to these guys called the OC, OC is already a flag bearer. Like what Trump said. In Nigeria, the APC, the presidential presidency was Buhari, while the chairman of the party is Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Yes.
You go to Cote d'Ivoire, Alassane Ouattara is the presidential flag bearer, yes, while the executive party is Adama Bitogo. So you discover that there is a separation between the chairmanship and the presidential flag bearer. How can a man be an honorable? He wants to be flag bearer and wants to be chairman. That is great of monumental proportion. And I think that with that kind of person in responsibility, if he goes to power, we are going to see what we have not seen even in the regime of Biya. So the idea of them even coming up to stand or to even think that they can stand as the chairperson of that party is very funny. And to clarify that democracy, I want to applaud Fundi again. I will say it and I will still say it. I will applaud him for the fact that he was not able to fabricate a leader.
Yes.
The fact that there is a power tussle is a clear indication that the person who is leaving is not a monarch, it's a democrat. Because monarchs always leave chief the chieftaincy mentality to leave their children, like what Obiangema is trying to do now in Cote d'Ivoire, like what this guy in Togo, Yadema Nasingbe did to Fure Nasingbe after killing Sivanos Olympia. Olympio. The same goes to Gabon. To Gabon, in Gabon, Obabogo, Dimba. It goes round and round. So we just pray for Cameroon also. We are praying for Cameroon also. By the grace of God, I pray as a man of God now. So, so I think that we should go out of the monarchical system of government and enter into practical democracy. Frundi has demonstrated democracy in this country, even though he has not headed this country. In his domain as a political leader, he has given us a fine blueprint for us to study the course of democracy. I don't think those who are coming from behind will want to eradicate and annihilate the legacy that this old man has left for us. Please, Ninche and Osi, in the name of our gods and the God of heaven, don't wipe away the integrity this Baba has left for us.
Ok. Vous avez l'impression que ça pourra signaler la fin du SDF ou si ce n'est pas bien encadré, ce qui se passe?
Non, permettez Léo que je souligne quand même quelque chose. Lorsqu'on parle d'un parti politique, un parti politique est construit autour d'une idéologie. C'est ça qui constitue le parti politique. Quand quelqu'un vous dit j'adhère au RDPC, c'est parce que j'adhère à l'idéologie du RDPC. Quelqu'un vous dit je suis membre du PCRN, c'est parce que j'adhère, j'ai accepté, j'ai épousé les idées de ce parti. D'ailleurs, c'est ça qui explique le fait que chaque fois que vous voyez quelqu'un sur un plateau vous dit voilà la position de mon parti sur telle problématique. Ça montre qu'il est discipliné. Parce que le parti est construit autour de l'idéologie, autour de la discipline. Voilà deux éléments qui caractérisent un parti. Alors, lorsque vous commencez à voir les militants d'un même parti commencer à avoir des idées divergentes, non, ce n'est pas de la démocratie. Il y a un désordre qui commence à s'installer. Parce que la logique voudrait qu'ils épousent la même idéologie. Je voudrais qu'on se comprenne à ce niveau. Maintenant, entendre votre consultant dire que le père fondateur n'a pas préparé un leader, je dis, ben attendez, vous pensez que lorsqu'il allait à Bamenda et portait son choix sur Oshi, il n'a pas calculé? Non, ne donnez pas l'impression qu'il l'a fait de manière fortuite. Le calcul a été serein. Pour prendre la tête d'un parti, qu'est-ce qu'il faut? C'est pas crier sur tous les toits chaque jour qui va déterminer qu'on a la puissance, qu'on a la haine, qu'on a la poigne. Non. Il y a un ensemble d'éléments que le père fondateur recherchait. Et forcément, et j'en suis convaincu, il a trouvé ces éléments en honorable Oshi. Maintenant, ce qu'il faudrait qu'on mette sur pied, c'est une organisation autour du choix qui a été porté. Mais on a l'impression que depuis l'installation ou alors le choix porté sur Oshi, il y a certains camarades qui n'adhèrent pas. C'est perceptible, tout le monde l'a vu. Et du coup, qu'est-ce qu'on va faire? Il faudrait qu'on crée des contre-positions et on essaye même, parce qu'à ce moment, au SDF, rassurez-vous, il y a même des partis, des militants pour l'honorable Nicheux et des militants pour l'honorable Oshi, ce qui devient extrêmement dangereux pour un parti politique. C'est ça qu'il est question.
Oui, mais c'est ça ma question, non? Si ce n'est pas bien...
Justement, si le père fondateur ne se lève pas comme un homme pour leur dire, bah, attendez, je ne suis pas mort, I still alive, quelque chose de mal va se produire. Il est important qu'il se lève et dise exactement, voilà, ou alors mon choix a été porté sur, parce que, et vous devrez respecter.
Vous ne pouvez pas imposer les idées de RDPC à tout le monde.
Je ne suis pas en train d'imposer.
Oui,
j'ai émis, permettez, j'ai émis des hypothèses. En principe, on est dans une guerre de positionnement qui est perceptible. Et cette guerre, si personne ne la calme, ou alors si quelqu'un ne la stoppe pas, on va arriver à une division du parti. Parce qu'au jour d'aujourd'hui, je vous dis, par expérience, il y a des militants qui sont penchés pour l'un et certains qui sont penchés pour l'autre. Je vous le dis. On ne va pas les citer. On ne va pas les citer. Il faudrait bien que le père dise qu'il est encore là.
For Richard, I don't know whether you are available. And for Richard, the party is gliding. we have lots of problems this evening. Getting no, we can't. It's too dark. It's too dark. We can't use that. Even G4 is there. Can we have G4, please? Ok.
Si vous me permettez une seconde pour chuter, parce que j'ai pas pu le faire.
Ok.
Non, ce que je veux dire, c'est que lorsque un chef, ou alors un chef d'un parti politique, même lorsqu'il décide d'abandonner le parti, et ça c'est ce que les hommes de politique doivent savoir, il reste ce qu'on appelle dans un parti une personne ressource. Ça veut dire qu'à un moment, lorsqu'on est en difficulté, on peut se retourner vers lui. Ça parce qu'il vous a laissé le parti que vous estimez qu'il n'a plus grand chose à dire. C'est ça qu'il faudrait qu'on comprenne. Et je vous dis, dans cette situation, il est impératif, je dis bien impératif, que le père fondateur, qui est Nidjon Fundi, se lève et dise quelque chose. Pour essayer, on estime que lorsqu'il va parler, ça va remettre de l'ordre dans le camp. Vous avez entendu la communication du PCN vous dit que le RDPCI est inclus. Et vous entendez quelqu'un d'autre vous dire non, le MRC est inclus. Et puis ça va créer à la fin des informations qui vont jaser de partout et qui ne va pas accompagner ni aider le SDF. Il faudrait que le chef
you raised the issue that the SDF could be pushing for what is happening within the CPDM. Yes, but we have two tendencies. There are people who think that the MRC is also pushing hard for Nietzsche to take over the chairmanship of the SDF because there is a likelihood that Honorable Nietzsche would seemingly or easily work with the CRM to say that it's not only the CPDM that has interest in what is happening within the Social Democratic Front, the CRM also.
Well, Mr. Kom, before I answer your question, I would like to, bring some ideas upon what our consultant said. He said that in democracy, there's supposed to be, confrontation of people and all that. But to me, I think democracy is not liberty. When we talk of democracy, we mean people can have diverse ideas, but they are they have that same ideology and they concur and they garnish all together. But what we are seeing in the SDF is not democracy. Like I can tell you, Mr. Kom, in the problem we have today in most of our big companies with these multi-million companies, when the leader dies, the company tends to fall. Why? Because the leader did not prepare someone that would take over him. That is not monarchy. I call that democracy still, because when we talk of democracy, it doesn't mean that you're supposed to be liberty and everything just happens like that. The leader can prepare someone because of some qualities, because of a common goal, because of what he sees in that person, because of the interest of the party or the ideology of the party. So I think that Nidjon was supposed to prepare somebody, because I tell you, Mr. Kom, it doesn't always mean that when people, accept somebody, that person is up to the task. At times we have this problem of tribalism, we have this problem of favoritism, we have this problem of, this is my person and I go for him and I canvass votes for him. That is the problem. So I think that democracy can still be that the leader prepares somebody that will be able to carry the ideology of the party or brings the party to its peak according to the ideology and the common goal. That is what Mr. Nidjon was supposed to do, because the problem we are having today is the power of the struggle of who will take over Nidjon, who will take over power, who will succeed the father, because recently he announced his retirement, but still he still has that sole responsibility to produce someone that will take over him. That is what I think. And to your question, Mr. Kom, when you said that there are people that says the MRC is inside and all that, in every party we have those we call infiltrators. They always infiltrate parties, those that do not really, garnish or are into the ideology of the party. Even in my party, the PCRN, we have infiltrators. And what happened during the regional elections? We had our municipal councillors that voted against us. So in a party, we have people that come from other political parties, and they are in your party just to destroy the party. That is why I said there are people from the LDPC, there are people from the MLC that are in that same party and that are creating disorder. And they think that they are with Nietzsche or with OC. So I think that in the midst of a party, we have people that are not into the ideology of the party and are there sent as spies by other parties to be able to, bring that party to a handicapped state. So that's the answer to your question, Mr. Kom.
Okay, definitely the CRM is not hoping that Honorable Nicho takes over.
Mr. Kom, let me answer you, because you know we have so many ideas. There are people that says that Nicho is closer to the MLC. Yes, and he accepted that, because on one platform in one TV station he said it is better for me to be closer to the MLC than to be closer to the FDPC. So it brings that kind of idea, and the fact that he's a Bamileke and all that, this kind of, you know, how did they call it, tribalism, favoritism, and you know, other people that infiltrate the party because they say, Mr. Kom, when you give room for the devil, he enters. So I think that Pani John has given a lot of liberty in that party, and we have had people that infiltrated and are trying to divide the good work that Pani John has been working for.
You would have loved him to manage the SDF like President Paul Biya does for the CPDM?
Mr. Kom, I would have loved him to, you know, he is already going to his retirement age. He recently announced that he's going for retirement. He would have prepared somebody that is up to the task, because recently he's the one that, you know, took Joshua Osi as the flag bearer of that party.
It was an election.
It was an election. Yes, Brett, was that election? He was the one that proposed. If I think he proposed.
I was there. It was not easy. It was not as easy as. Yes, I was there. I took part in that convention from start to finish.
Yes.
It was very heated, explosive election.
Très serré, c'était très serré.
See, I think I disagree in good faith what you are saying. First of all, the SDF slogan is power to the people, not power to the party or whoever. If you are saying that His Excellency Nijon Fundi should have groom up someone to take care of. Therefore, you are telling us that President Biya should groom up somebody should take care of the president of the nation. That's the concept of democracy. And if you are saying that the concept of democracy doesn't mean liberty, I disagree with you. Liberty in what extent? What are they doing that is against the canons of democracy? The canons of democracy. In the real canons, if we have to go by the canons of democracy, as we see in United States, the birthplace of democracy. You see this person, when in the 2016 runoff, Donald Trump called Ted Cruz little lying Ted, little Rubio, crooked Nancy, crooked Hillary, this and that and that and that. It is only the concept of democracy. Democracy is not an aspect where you must buy an ideology. Democracy is an aspect of convincing the majority. If you have the power,
Mr. Jarvis, we are talking democracy in terms of a party. We are not talking in terms of different parties that are competing.
I'm still talking about the party. The slogan of that party is power to the people.
Of course.
And Nijon, as Senior Apostle put it rightly, is that he has created that mark to say whoever has the power to the people should become the chairman. It's not because you are closer to my heart that I should select you, so that when the party crumble, it will be said that Nijon built the party and selected somebody and the person killed the party. Nijon is doing what he should have done, what he was supposed to be, was to be the president of Cameroon, that is ruling by example and letting people to understand that it is a party they created, and that party people have the choice to select their leader from the democratic perspective.
Mr. Jarvis, let me ask you.
Oui, c'est justement pourquoi j'ai dit ici à l'entame que l'honorable Oshi a été élu porter à la tête de ce parti, parce qu'il avait des qualités et des caractéristiques qui lui permettaient de porter ce parti.
Ndifo Ferdinand, are you too comfortable when people are brandishing Honorable Joshua Osi as too close to the CPDM and Honorable Nicho close to the CRM movement? Is that good? Does it reflect what obtains in your party?
Jonathan, not you very clearly, but let me just make this. That points I would like to drive. First of all, I want to be very, very clear that right from inception, the SDF has been a party that has talked about democracy and has been fighting democracy in this country. This idea of thinking that the chairman of the party and be success is not a principle that is that we believe in within the SDF. Within the SDF, we believe that officials are being the members of the party, the grassroots members, what we call national convention, elect the the official party. It is not the position of the chairman of the party, anybody to become chairman of the party. The party they have constitution, they have institutions that must be respected, and in that case, there is a procedure for the chairman of the party to be elected, and that procedure that in the national convention, delegates at the national convention elect the chairman of the party, and there is no way he can on his own pick anybody to make chairman of the party. Having said that, I think what is currently happening between Mincher and OC is something that could have been avoided. It's something that is not even necessary. It's an argument that I don't even see how relevant it is to the party at this point. Personally, I have a problem with Mincher going out there in the public to bring allegations against Honorable C. Those allegations are very serious enough. I hope that Mincher is somebody within the SDS who understands how the party operates. If he realized that there is such allegations being levied against OC, he knows exactly how to channel those problems within the party. There are party structure in which report those events, those allegations to, and they will investigate the event. And if OC is found guilty, they will discipline him. We know that if it's a very disciplined party, it's a party structure that could carry on discipline within the party. To go to the public media and make a public show of something that is not even founded, not even, there are no, I would say baseless, because there is no evidence to that. To me, it's not only hurting himself, I mean Mincher, but he's also hurting. He might think that is in what he is doing hurting OC, but as a matter of fact, hurting the party. Honestly speaking, I don't see how helpful such argument can be for the party. Coming to the issue of chairmanship, I think at this moment in the life of the SDF needs somebody who is not a divider, somebody who do not hurt feelings, somebody who have the interest of the party at heart, somebody who main objective is to ensure that the SDF party comes back, the SDF of the 90s comes back. It's not somebody who is thinking about occupying the position of a chairmanship. It has been demonstrated very clearly that the two individuals that we have talked about, in my full opinion, it's not the position of the party, this is my personal opinion, that these two individuals lack what the SDF needs at this particular moment. Those two individuals stated very clearly that they do not have what it takes to lead the SDF at this very trying moment.
Okay, thank you very much. He says that what the SDF needs now is somebody who would unite and not divide, because clearly we are seeing tendencies already. OC is this way, Nietzsche is the other way. You agree with him, but let me take this message from Julius Chofo, who is watching us. He says, this is Julius Chofo, watching from the UK. Mr. Liu, I disagree with Bakwen. A good leader does not groom a successor. A good leader finds and brings forward talent, fosters healthy competition amongst them, and lets them compete healthily for positions, including the top position when it becomes available.
Yes, your question.
Yes, my question is, therefore, Richard says that the person that SDF actually needs now as a president or a chairman should be a person who would unite and not one who is taking the party towards one direction, because from the two factions already, the two persons that we are talking about, one is pulling the party this way, other is moving the other direction.
Of course, he's 100% correct. That's why I said here earlier that I suggested somebody very neutral, very far from even this discussion, because I don't see those two persons in question qualified to chair the party. Ninche has already a scandal collaborating with CRM, whether it is true or not. Just that stigma alone jeopardizes his position as chairman.
Why?
Automatically, because first and foremost, Bar said about tribe. I don't know who is not coming from a tribe in this country. Everybody is from a tribe, because if it is tribalism, then Osi Joshua is not qualified to be a parliamentarian in Douala. He's from the all the rest have to unanimously go in action because they believe in the same ideology. That division alone between the two of them shows that there is a tussle between the two of them. And one man is taking another person's disadvantage to sabotage a person. The next thing is that OC was a crystal ball in SDF when he was to be voted as a flag bearer. But there are some errors you do along the line in politics that sabotage and can make a crystal ball become a dark object. As it stands now, that singular act of him signing among the parliamentarians that sent the document to the House of Congress in America has tainted or painted his image dark as far as Cameroonians are concerned. The celebrated OC we had before becoming a flag bearer is not the OC we are seeing today. So people can give another impression concerning him right now because he is not the person they voted to stand as a flag bearer. So if they have a notion that he belongs to the CPDM somehow, people could be 100% right or 100% 0% right. It's the same with Nietzsche. If Nietzsche sits on the program and say he prefers to, a political party member is not supposed to say he rather prefer to. What are you preferring to? If you are preferring some other party to another, means you have a link with them somehow. So you implicate yourself. That's why I say Cameroonians have to learn how to use the media. You can either use the media to sabotage yourself or to elevate yourself. And that is exactly what Nietzsche has done. If he has a choice in between two parties, it means he's not neutral. If he says I will prefer, it means he's not neutral. Of which, if he's SDF, they're supposed to say I have no dealing with SDF, I have no dealing with CRM, I have no dealing with PCRN. But if he says if I'm given a choice, it tells you that in his human psyche and his subconsciousness, there is already a registered partner that if things happen to go the way he wants, he already has a side to take. Okay. That's implicative.
Okay. Chidione, you are certainly following us from Yaoundé. You are a youth leader. Are you worried by what is happening in your party today?
Good evening. Sir. Good evening to your ex. I'm grateful to be today. I say I want to recognize the great work doing. Having a well-organized
where is
on social media, bring her. The social media has led to political debate. So I think that your thoughts are laudable. That said, I want to think that what is now is something that can happen in any serious party that is democratic. Because you know, still at the context in any party which is democratic and private like SDF, this kind of things can happen. But if they do happen, effects that is not decided. So what I want those that are listening to understand is that what is happening is an indication that the SDF is a true democratic party. Because we are not into we don't have the state up that we say people are because control that because there is something that they think they have some resources to control. But when you see this kind of fight, it's an indication that that house is actually protecting the virtue. And people know that the SDF dead. The recurrent and focus on the SDF, the position that SDF is alive. The SDF is coming back very soon and will surely take back this nation as far as finance is concerned. And I want to the people out there that they should be wise enough to seize this opportunity that the national chairman of the SDF, Excellency Peter Fundi, the SDF family as a whole is giving to embrace the SDF, embrace the people's ideas that will help to the problem of space now. Now, coming back to what between our party politics, like I said, in every house, place of a great family, these arguments can be, they are obvious, exist. But sincerely, as a man, I that these arguments would have been handled within the house. But nevertheless, we cannot just complaining. As a family, as looking at the way the disagreements have come up, what interest for us now is to handle it that whatever the case may be, STF comes out of the water. Because so as they have situation over on our shoulders to carry aspiration of political the SCM is responsible.
Okay.
That's I want on Cameroonians and those observing what is happening. But they should not forget that the SDF has finished that leadership remains a chairman only. The SDF has handled its internal issues. So Cameroonians that are watching not take individual opinions for what the thinks. SDF will come to them through the canal. That is true net resolution and through the most authoritative voice of activities national chairman is expected. So people should not get dispersed in opinion.
Okay, the network is really poor. We are sorry for that. We hope that things get fixed so that we can get our participants out of this studio. Tila Suvi says that this should rather serve as an opportunity for the SDF to reorganize itself and bounce back powerfully.
Non, c'est important et je crois que quelque part elle a souligné. On parle quand même de deux grosses personnalités, parce qu'il faudrait qu'on parte de là. Oui. On parle de l'honorable Oshi et l'honorable Nietzsche. Ce n'est pas quand même deux jeunes gamins qui entrent dans le SDF, non. Ce sont pratiquement des personnes qui ont accompagné le père Nijon Frundi, ça il faut le dire. Donc ce ne sont pas des enfants qui viennent d'entrer dans la politique, c'est des personnes qui savent exactement ce qu'il faut faire ou alors ce qu'est le SDF. Et maintenant, si on va de ce postulat, et puis il a dit quelque chose lorsqu'il parlait du slogan du SDF, vous conviendrez avec moi, sans pour autant avoir un parti pris, qu'en principe, je vais dire comme dans le RDPC, l'honorable Ochi est un peu le meilleur risque pour le SDF. Ça permettait que
C'est ce que vous dites?
je dise ça comme ça, oui, parce que j'essaie de colmater avec tout ce qui s'est dit sur le plateau. J'essaie de rassembler tout ce qui s'est dit sur le plateau. J'ai dit, attendez, le consultant a souligné quelque chose de pertinent. Du moment si on constitue ou alors si on continue à accepter le selon lequel un parti politique est construit autour d'une idéologie, il serait extrêmement dangereux de voir un leader d'un parti politique continuer ou alors se donner du plaisir à coutoyer un autre parti politique qui ont totalement des visions différentes ou des perceptions différentes. Parce que lorsqu'on regarde un peu le comportement de l'honorable Nietzsche, moi je vais pousser le raisonnement plus loin, ça sur le plan sociologique. Et vous conviendrez avec moi que ça épouse clairement et nettement la perception et la vision d'un certain parti politique qui est animé par la violence, qui est animé par le bruit, qui est animé par la contestation permanente. Voilà un peu et on se rend compte que non, à force de coutoyer ce parti politique, forcément il y a des bribes d'éléments ou alors des mentalités qu'il va copier et tenter tant bien que mal de l'imposer à son système. On a toujours connu le SDF, c'est un parti de réconciliation, c'est un parti de construction, c'est un parti qui agit avec douceur et avec fermeté, bien qu'elle soit hyper douce. Donc, moi je dis, Ochi est le meilleur risque pour le SDF. Ça, c'est une évidence.
Meilleur risque pour le SDF, en tout cas, c'est vous qui le savez, but, did you say the SDF failed to groom somebody? Many people really don't think so, because many people think your reasoning is not the best. This one says, good evening, Mr. Leo. Please, I strongly disagree with Madam Akwen on the idea that Nijon Frundi ought to have groomed a successor. If that is done, that would have defeated the purpose of a democratic party. Enomulu Bath is writing from Bamenda. Now, when you look at what is happening, do you think that the base of the party suffers? Is there a clear divide between the top and the base of the party?
Well, Mr. Kom, before I answer your question, I want to still go back to what I said previously.
Okay.
Yes, because people say they disagree with me. You know, in a house, when your children are fighting, will you tell the child that who has power should win? You'll be able to separate them and, you know, put sense into their head. That's the perspective of a leader for me. So I think that Nijon was supposed to, like, you know, Joshua Osi was being elected as the flag bearer of the party. But today, the party fights against him. They said he has gone against the ideology of the party because he committed some errors that was not, like, you know, he was not supposed to sign the petition that was meant for the Senate in the US. So to me, I think that it is not always the choice of the people that is always right. At times, the leader can, you know, stand his ground and say, I created this party for a purpose, and if I bring this person in, it is for the interest of the party. So I think it's not like, you know, trying to impose on the people someone, but he can bring somebody that, you know, he thinks has the ability to bring the party to its peak. How
do you bring the person?
By proposing, he can propose someone, because the trouble we have in the CP, in the SDF, is because of laxitude. Everyone does what he thinks is right, because they say there's democracy, you can do anything, you can say anything, and things are going the way they are going. But if the leader at one point stands his ground and say, enough is enough, I can still bring someone, I can still tell you guys, because in politics we talk about discipline. When there is no discipline in a party, when there is no discipline in a home, things go the way they go. It is because of the lack of discipline. Because if they were disciplined, if they were able, you know, to garnish the fact that we're in democracy and it is not a liberal state, they would have, garnished themselves and, come to the common goal of the party. Because now we are seeing two people having different ideas, different ideologies, which does not concord to the party's discipline. So I think that the president would have, proposed someone that could be like a reconciliatory agent, someone that can reconcile the party, bring the people together. I think that's still the job of the chairman of the party. So I do not think that he's imposing or like trying to groom someone. He can propose someone that has the interest of the party. And to your question, Mr. Kum, you said that some people think that Nietzsche is closer to the MRC and Nijon and OC is closer to the LDPC. As I previously said that in political parties we have infiltrators. In all parties we have infiltrators. People that do not concord to the idea. People that don't even know why they're in a party. People that are there sent to be like spies to destroy a party. That is the role of some people. And if we find these two people arguing, because at one point it's a disgrace for top officials of of a country, because both of them, they are parliamentarians. They are supposed to bring out good examples. They are supposed to like bring out the examples for the youth, because I can say both of them are youths. What are they trying to impact to the youth? What are the examples they are trying to show to the youth? They are not positive aspects for youths to follow them. So I think that at one point, the chairman has to put a hand on the table and says enough is enough, and I will bring someone that will reconcile this party, because I am already old. I am going to my retirement age, and I do not want my party to divide, because that's what is happening in one party. As my co-panelist said, liberalism. Everybody says what he wants, he does what he wants, and everything goes at his own side because of no discipline.
In one party?
I cannot see the party yet, but we all know there is a party that, everybody does anything and they say it's democracy. That's not democracy. In democracy, we have discipline.
So democracy is not anarchy.
Democracy is not anarchy, and democracy is not liberalism where anybody can say anything or anything. In a party, you have a discipline. You have an ideology you're supposed to follow. And if you are not able to follow that discipline of the party, it means you are not disciplined. It means you are yourself. You are not practicing that democracy that is being promoted by your party.
One thing very important I learned in politics is this: there is always a voice that leads the people, but when the voice does not echo the voice of those it's leading, it becomes weak. Okay, Emmanuel Esanjok writing from Tico. Good evening, Mr. Kum. I suggest that Pa Frundi remains at the head of the SDF to put order in-house before any party elections. Greetings to you all. Pa Vic is writing from Bomenda. Do you think it is time for a generational switch in the SDF also?
Yes, I strongly believe that we need a generational switch, because if you look at what other parties they're doing, they are reviving they are looking at 2025, and you see the structures they are putting in place. If you look at Cameroon very well, Apostle said, God forbid, and when he talked about various countries in Africa putting successor and the rest. But if you look at the social media, in Cameroon, when you start getting rumor, just believe that possible things could happen. Yeah. So we need a generational switch in such a way that this party, we need younger generation to take over. We need a vibrant generation. And this vibrant generation in SDF, Nietzsche or OC, I think both of them can still produce the result.
Yeah,
I kind of find it.
I want you to clarify for a new that is the younger generation. Seeing a lot of using my seeing him and Maurice can be
what's happening.
You
Yes,
that,
yes.
Say
those who are animating the campaign as the youth. Generational switch, but which is coming slowly. It's not rapid as per se, because what is happening to SDF is different from what is happening to other parties.
Okay.
What is happening to SDF is an aspect of democracy. What is happening in other parties is not an aspect of democracy. SDF is moving democracy to the next level. That is telling us that in democracy, it is not the chairman that should vie for a position of a president. It is the party's decision to choose whoever can stand in and represent the ideology of the party. And that's what SDF did in 2018. And that's what SDF is about to do now, to tell you that if the chairman finds it necessary that he is tired, it is a position which is supposed to be elected. He's finding it that he's tired and he wants to hand over. As you listen to our brother in the United States, he said there are principles to elect a chairman, which means that it is an elected position, not a handpicked position. Let's get this clear. And if SDF is doing a transformation, I think SDF is building its future for 2025. SDF probably have learned from the lessons in 2018. They have learned from the lesson of not going for other elections. So they are looking for a way that the youth, remember that there is a vibrant, we have a vibrant youth in Cameroon for 2025. People are looking at 2025. SDF is looking at 2025. They're not just looking at the fact that whoever takes him from Niger is stronger than Joe Biden. But Joe Biden is the president of the United States of America. But Niger and his strong state still decide that, hey, I have to hand over. It means that he's looking at the future. It is time for these old people to give way to the youth, Mr. Liu. It is time for them to give way to the youth and be as coaches for us. Example, Gaga and Maaji, all this, the rest, all should give way to the youth. I think I should expect this too from CPDM in such a way that CPDM should want to tell us that, hey, the chairman is giving way for other persons to take over. And so this democracy, we keep saying Cameroon is an advanced state of democracy. If not of SDF within the 1990s, we would not have had that freedom of mass communication law that was launched and freedom of multi-party politics that was launched in 1990. So again, as from your question based on generational switch, I think that the generational switch from the leadership position of the party is slow, but from the implementation of positioning of key stakeholders is fast. Because if you look at Cameroon in 5 years ago, parties were not investing in sending youth to plateaus to talk about the ideas, to talk about. But today we have a whole set of calendar, a whole set of roster that youth move around, talk about their parties and the rest and the rest.
Yeah, but that's not a problem. For example,
no, I'm not saying that from
I remember there was a program where I had Alex Ngepi and the guy who's in prison now,
Yes.
And they were talking. We were talking about the need for a generational switch, and they said in their party was very, very active. At the time, Professor Maurice Kamto was out there, and I cited that you guys are young people, but he's out there with Pindai Kuka. This so that the former
he was with Pindai Kuka, Ngogam. That's why I said. That's why I said that.
Cabal, yeah.
That's why I said that.
Does it suffice that you send young people to talk on TV?
No, Mr. Leo. That's why I said there is need for these old people. That's why I said there is need for these old people to step down and coach us. They should act like coaches. That we see that, but for other parties it's slow. There is need for us to now come in and take over. Like you see what SDF is doing. I like what Nincho, whether they like it or not. It's good enough in terms of the one thing for sure is that both of the council for stand as they do not form a separate party. But it's something that happened in the United States of America.
Richard, the party is in difficulties whether we like it or not, but publicity, but he thinks that it is good for your party. What should be the strategy for a way out now?
No, I didn't get your question.
Yeah, I am saying that the party is in difficulty. Some people see it as bad publicity. Others, like Tamai Javi, say there's nothing as bad publicity. It's working in your favor. What should be the strategy? Because almost everybody is looking forward to that person that will take over the mantle of power from Nijon Frunzi. What is the way forward for your party now?
Well, the party has a very bright future. I so strongly on the SDA party to sit down and reach that. I think as it starts, the chairman should stand on there for the next maybe year or two, so that the party restrategize. We get the right persons who are going to take over, because we don't need change, take up change. It has demonstrated very clearly as we stand that the people we have had our hopes that failed us, the people within the party that we had hoped that they will take the mantle of command, the national chair, and manage the party, they have failed us by their actions, and from the things they have done. Few weeks have demonstrated that they do not qualify to handle the position of chairman of a party like the SDA. Is not one that is handed over to anybody. It's my hope that chairman Nijon hang on there. We are willing to hang. If you ask my opinion, I think that it should hang on there for a period of a year or two, so that we strategize and find a way forward for the party, and look for those individuals in the party who can manage. The step is filled with a lot of very competent people. Some of them that some of us didn't know about. My brother, Mr. G. Jordan is here on with us. A lot of people are getting to know him. But that is a break with the party that many people do not even know about. And so there are many more of this kind of breaks within the party. And I think that the party needs young, energetic people with very bright ideas, people with fresh ideas, not people who still rely on the ideas of the 90s carry the party along in 2020. People who will come up with brand new ideas, fresh ideas. People who are able to mobilize not only members of the party, but people who can also mobilize the grassroots. People who are connected with the grassroots. People who have who know grassroots militants they want and can connect with the grassroots. Not people who sit up there and they feel that because they have maybe walked some ladder with and they have gotten to the position, they become so arrogant and intolerant that they feel that they have become untouchable. That is not what there is this moment. There is a need an organizer. It needs somebody who, like see, as a historian, take us back to what happened in Ghana when the young Kwame Nkrumah just took over the leadership of the United Nations Nation. He started a whole new approach within the party that many people talk about. And he started by going down there in the grass and mobilizing the grassroots and telling me party acts, militants. I think those are the kind of ideas we need at this moment. We need people who come in with ideas of the 21st century, ideas in time, taking into consideration technology, taking into consideration because the leaders feel to understand is that perception in politics is as important as reality. What people perceive needs to be taken seriously. It is not enough to just read old. That is just something that people are complaining. We need to listen to the people. We need to listen to their complaints, to what they are talking about. We take that very seriously.
Okay.
The SDM need to be competitive.
Sorry, the network this evening is really not good. We have to end about the SDF at that level, except any other person has something to add. We have a second topic to discuss. If not, we'll find ourselves discussing.
So, I tell you just briefly on this SDF issue. I think at one point in time when you got this conclusion, it was that the competition, we need a vibrant SDF which is highly competitive, healthy for the party. So I think that people should not be discouraged as to what is happening. It's normal in politics that you have camps like that, but at the end of the day, they are all looking at general interest of the party. Nincho feels like under him SDF will be better. Oshi feel like under him SDF will be better. Both of them are looking for
okay.
Better
good evening, Mr. Liu and others. Nijon Frunzi Naoga. If something pass you, you leave it. A president in a party is not fufu and arrow. Those two are not. Those two are not ripe yet. Let's say the truth. When you are mature, it shows. I love Nijon. He is very, very mature. The people were insulting the man like a child. Oh, Cameroonians. We do not know what is good. We have not seen anything yet. Is Nijon a fool? Sisi is writing from Limbe. Okay, this was Mr. Leo. Why do Cameroonians hate old people? The pastor mentioned somebody from Bamenda. What Nijon suffered in 1990 to 1992, could they have stood it? Nigerians are different. That is why we do not even know our history. Okay, hello, Mr. Leo. At this point in time, the two persons are more interested in power, not to carry the party forward. The worst thing the SDF can do is to put any of the two today to pilot the affairs. If they try, I think we gonna just prepare a burial ceremony for the party. I think the SDF is about entering the threshold. Jane Kwele writing from Douala. Good evening to you, Jane Kwele. Luis writing from Limbe says, good evening, Mr. Liu. Others are opposing Madame Akwen. I think she is right, but she should have said the SDF did groom someone to take over from Nijon Frundi, not Nijon himself grooming someone to replace him. Luis, good evening to you. Good evening. Program, I love what my media prime is doing. The truth about the issue that we had was sold to wicked. The government is very bad. Government now, SDF is selling the southern Cameroonians. The army will come to the village. Okay. Mr. Eric writing from Santa Nijon. Okay. Mr. Eric, good evening to you. This one says, good evening, Mr. Liu, Mr. Kum. I want to thank all the panelists for their modest contributions on this topic, but what is happening in the SDF party today is very dicey. And if care is not taken, the party can crumble because of these two individuals. They have a lot of followers that they can carry to any direction. Gwaxi is writing from Boya. Good evening. Mr. Kum, interesting program. My regards to Apostle Ambe and Tamai Travis. I totally disagree with Madam Akwen. Any good leader don't need to prepare somebody to succeed him. Ngwa Allen is writing from Bamenda. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Please, we are not getting your contributor from Yaoundé here in Chang. It's a good program, though. Fort Solar MacBless writing from Chang. Good evening to you. Network problem. We are going to fix that tomorrow. We hope so. Good evening. Greetings to you guys in the studio. My special regards goes to you, Divine and Apostle Ambe. To me, I think Honorable Nietzsche should be given the opportunity to pilot the activities of this SDF. As chairman, we have all seen him. Okay. K. Ferdinand Langai writing from Bamenda. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Please, Apostle Ambe should go for presidential elections. We will support him. I see a leader in him. Please, let's give him a chance. Thierry is writing from Douala. You're pushing Apostle Ambe. Okay, we are going to take a short break. When we come back, we discuss our second topic for tonight. welcome back. You're watching Prime on my Media Prime. We are now going to be looking at this COVID-19 brouhaha. Also, Cameroonians are taken aback. They don't know where to turn to because of COVID-19. If European nations are afraid of the same vaccines that they themselves have produced, Cameroonians do not know who to turn to. Can we understand why COVID-19, the second phase that is now plaguing the world, is still a mystery to many?
Mr. Leo, we have to be sincere to ourselves as Africans. This COVID-19 of a thing is a drama.
Okay.
Orchestrated by the Bill Gates Foundation to enrich pharmaceutical companies abroad. How will you explain that for almost 100 years now, the research for cancer vaccine has not been discovered? 40 years now, the research for HIV vaccine has not been discovered. 30 years now, all the flus like malaria, catarrh, and the rest don't have a vaccine. And then COVID-19 almighty suddenly in the space of 13 to 14 months burst forth with a vaccine. Medically speaking, when the poliomyelitis vaccine came out, they had to test it 8 times.
Yes.
It takes 8 different tests to prove the validity of a vaccine. And after they tested the poliomyelitis vaccine, they brought it to Africa. Some children were injected and they became paralyzed. After it had gone through all the credible tests. And then we have organics in Madagascar against the COVID-19. They refused us from consuming it because it had not gone through clinical tests, according to the parlance of the United Nations and the WHO. That the organics in Madagascar did not go through clinical tests to be consumed. And then now suddenly COVID-19 that has not gone through the phases of the vaccine test, suddenly from nowhere is imposed on people to take it. Now we have cases of persons who have taken it successfully. We have others who have also taken it at their blood clotted. Some have died as a result of the vaccine. How credible is this vaccine? How are we sure that this vaccine is not made in 2 different forms? Melinda Gates gave a prophecy not as a soothsayer, not as a diviner, not as a prophet, not even as an expert in health, that dead bodies will litter the continent Africa. How can somebody who is in charge of Microsoft begin to give statistics on health issues? That dead bodies, which means it was an orchestrated plan to annihilate people in Africa. Now that they have not succeeded in giving us the COVID-19, they have now come up with the vaccine. Now the Europeans who claim to have been the one who created this vaccine, the AstraZeneca vaccine that came from England, some people have taken it. France has suspended it. Now we are
eight European countries
have suspended it.
Yes.
I watched Archbishop Nicola Duncan Williams that he said he has already taken the vaccine. Matthew Ashimolo has taken the vaccine. A friend of mine who lives in America took the vaccine on camera with me watching him. Now, how are we sure if the vaccine coming to Africa is the same vaccine they are using in America? There are a lot of videos circulating here and there with doctors from different countries like Czechoslovakia and other countries from the broken USSR, Lithuania, Bosnia-Herzegovina, Latvia. That doctors are giving analysis that it is not credible. Levas Mumba, the former vice president of Zambia, did a video and said all the vaccines have to come to Africa. They have to go through the Center of Disease Control. Let them test the credibility and the authenticity of the vaccine before it is administered to people.
Yeah, but only that the Center for Disease Control is also an American structure.
But it's headed by a Cameroonian. It's headed by a Cameroonian.
Yeah, but if Africa is skeptical today, was it not? We saw the devastating effects of COVID-19, and we have seen the Europeans organize themselves to be able to ascertain the validity or credibility of whatever its citizens are going to be consuming. Was it not also an opportunity for Africans themselves to come together, create something like the Center for Disease Control? What we are citing there is from America. Come up with something so that whatever is coming here, knowing the difficulty with which Africans are accepting other vaccines like the polio vaccines, to be sure of what we are receiving here.
Non, permettez, Mr. Léo, et là c'est très important, hein, il a pour une fois Je suis très d'avis et d'accord avec lui. Le véritable problème au niveau du vaccin de la Covid, c'est son efficacité. Parce qu'en principe, pour toutes les pathologies, on nous a appris à l'école, sans pour autant être spécialiste en médecine, mieux vaut prévenir, vaut mieux que guérir. Ça veut dire simplement quoi? Que mieux vaut un vaccin s'il y en a, que le médicament, qu'on va tomber malade et commencer à en prendre. Donc le véritable problème avec la Covid, c'est le vaccin de la Covid, son efficacité. Tout le monde, et pas seulement le Cameroun, l'Afrique, mais tout le monde entier, on est extrêmement dubitatif sur ce vaccin. Des médecins nous démontrent clairement que le protocole n'a pas été respecté. Ça allait un peu beaucoup trop vite lorsqu'on essaie d'établir une comparaison avec les autres maladies qui ont pris 10 ans pour concevoir un vaccin, qui ont pris pratiquement 15 ans pour concevoir un vaccin et accepter son efficacité, qu'on se retrouve avec un vaccin pour une maladie déjà qu'on ne mesure même pas l'ampleur, parce qu'il faut le dire, jusqu'aujourd'hui, on ne peut pas vous dire avec exactitude dans le monde entier qu'est-ce qui soigne la Covid. Ça, il faudrait qu'on soit clair là-dessus. On ne peut pas vous dire. C'est un ensemble de mélanges comme ça qui, à chaque fois, on va donner à X. La preuve, vous donnez le même protocole à X, ça ne réagit pas de la même manière avec le patient B. Ça veut dire qu'on est encore dans la connaissance même de la maladie. Donc c'est un peu très précipité de parler de vaccin aujourd'hui. Maintenant, si on veut entrer sur le plan politique, on va se rendre compte que, justement, le regard que l'Occident avait quand la Covid arrivait au Cameroun, je crois en mars 2019. Mars 2020. Good. En mars 2020, c'était comme une hécatombe qui devrait se produire. Et c'était un peu comme pour dire, alors cette maladie va décimer les nègres, entre guillemets. Et malheureusement, ils se rendent compte que non. Ces nègres sont pauvres, sont peut-être nègres, mais malheureusement beaucoup trop solides. C'est ça le véritable problème. Et c'est logique qu'aujourd'hui on se pose la question, attendez, peut-être on n'est pas tous tombés comme des petits fourmis, comme il attendait par rapport à la Covid. Alors maintenant, il faudrait qu'on trouve une substance beaucoup plus rapide pour pouvoir administrer sur des populations. Non, c'est le seul élément, n'est-ce pas, qui amène les citoyens à douter un tout petit peu de la Covid. Heureusement qu'au Cameroun également, parce qu'en France, par exemple, une pause a été faite sur son administration aux populations. Et je crois qu'au Cameroun également est entré dans cette lignée. Le ministre l'a très bien défini, disant que des études devraient être approfondies pour pouvoir juger son utilité. Mais déjà, le caractère obligatoire, ça c'est une proposition personnelle, le caractère obligatoire devrait déjà être supprimé. Et je crois que cela a été au Cameroun, c'est important. Le vaccin, c'est pour la vie, c'est pour avoir une immunité, c'est pour avoir une protection. Alors maintenant, chacun devrait le faire de manière délibérée.
Yeah, we saw COVID-19 since 2020 in Cameroon. We saw government's response to this. We are living the second phase of this virus, devastating virus on Cameroonians. Do you think that the government took down notes when the first phase came, and so that they are not surprised by what is happening now? Because we already got information that people were predicting that the first phase was going to go through, and then another was coming. Did the government prepare itself against a second wave that is now present here?
Well, Mr. Kum, during the beginning of the announcement of the COVID-19 in Africa, you know, the first phase was not like alarming like the second phase, because this second phase has caused a lot of havoc and a lot of death. You know, especially in Cameroon, the increasing rate of infected COVID-19 patients has really increased. So, according to the way the Africans are handling the COVID-19, especially in Cameroon, is not really applaudable, because, you know, at first we thought that Cameroon and the government would have, allow our natural resources speak for us, like what we have Cleda, who had, drugs that were able to, fight against the COVID-19 virus, because he said he has conquered the COVID-19, but the government gave him a deaf ear. We have Dr. Peyundi that brought out a medicine too that was very efficient to be able to fight against the COVID-19, but our government still did not really give them a listening ear, and they decided to go for an international vaccine that is like, having a lot of dilemma around it. This vaccine that was announced by the Minister of Public Health, Dr. Madawuda Malashi. Previously, he said that the vaccine is not compulsory. You can take it at free will. And international bodies and Cameroonians said, well, as the sole guarantor of the health of Cameroonians, you are supposed to, impose on Cameroonians to be able to take this vaccine by saying before you want to travel in or out of the country, you are supposed to be vaccinated. Now the problem is the vaccine of Cameroon, the vaccine that the AstraZeneca vaccine that is came from the Europeans is really like putting a lot of trouble, because we had some people who took the vaccine and they had some side effects that was really alarming. And we had countries, like 8 countries already suspended the vaccine. My problem is these vaccines that were being administered in the European countries cannot still be the same in Cameroon or in African countries, because we are not having the same, atmospheric condition, the same immunity and all that. Africans are known for their ability of a high immune system that is very strong, because you agree with me that the weather of the Europeans, or maybe in France or in, in the United States, is not the same, because this COVID-19 virus is said that it really affects people when the cold is high, the temperature is really cold. And I tell you, Africa is really hot, especially Cameroon. Our climatic condition is not the same. So I think that we are supposed to, like Africans, come to unity and bring out our own vaccine that can be adapted to our climatic conditions and our immune system. So that's what I think, and I propose for the Cameroon government and the African countries to come to a consensus and find out a vaccine that will help us, because we need a vaccine at all costs to be able to protect ourselves from this virus. It is very, very important, because we cannot keep saying we're going to take our traditional herbs, because we have been taking traditional herbs against malaria. Still, we still have malaria that affects us. So we need a vaccine. Now the problematic around this thing is just that the vaccine came like an impromptu. It came like like wildfire, without being tested or without being verified, and and it just created some kind of so much noise, and people are rejecting the vaccine. So I think that before this vaccine was supposed to be administered, those that are in charge of controlling vaccines were supposed to sit and test the vaccines many times and see the side effect. If the side effect is much more than the required results which we need, that is what was supposed to be done. But because of the economic problems we are having, that it has become a game where people benefit a lot from these COVID-19 problems that has created a lot of trouble, and so many people have enriched themselves through the COVID-19 because it has become a business, Mr. Leo. Because in Cameroon we see how the COVID-19 is being managed. We are not really happy with the way it's been managed. So I think that the African countries should be able to come out with their own vaccine that will be favorable to their climate and their immune system.
Looking at the national response to COVID-19, do you think that it was premature for the government to have dismantled the emergency centers that were created around the country?
Well, not only premature, but we were not prepared. Even when the first phase came and the second wave, we are still not prepared. Because how do you explain the fact that there is COVID-19? You issue a communique that people should not gather between, at least 50 people should not gather. At the same time, we had Fally Ipupa concert in Douala. The same time, we had concert in Yaoundé. The same time, we had concert, a planned concert that was cancelled in Boya. How do you explain the situation where you say people should not gather, yet you go to the 50 people, you go to the bars, Mr. Liu, the bars are more than 50 in numbers, the nightclubs are jam-packed, and how do you explain the situation where you say people should give at least 1 meter distance for COVID-19, and yet the buses are still very much crowded and overloaded, and all you check is face masks, which definitely people are seated as in a close range. How do you explain a situation where you see there is COVID-19? You go to Ndokoti roundabout, you see the population that they are in the various markets, Bonamusadi market, Moya market, Great Sopo market, the market in Bamenda, all those markets, you see how crowded. Now the government dismantling these centers, I think first again, like I said, they were not prepared, because even when the centers were there, we didn't have testing center. I'll give you an example, Mr. Liu. I was one of those who went to do a COVID-19 test in Boya, in the Southwest region. That was in December when I was about to travel to Kenya. What happened was when I went to the hospital, regional hospital, I was told that I should go to the regional delegation. Now there was a site, a makeshift building there for COVID-19 patients, a regional delegation of public health. Now, in fact, to be more, I don't know how I can put this. I went there and they were not doing testing there, Mr. Liu, at the regional delegation. They said they were not doing testing at the regional delegation of public health, but they had a quarantine center. And they had a center where they could quarantine you. Again, I was referred back to Limbe. I went to Limbe. They were not doing testing. I was sent now to CBC at Mutengene, where you have to descend the Mutengene hill. Then I did a COVID test for free, luckily for free. Now my question was, you have a quarantine center, but you don't have a testing site. How do you quarantine people that you don't test to say, okay, this person has COVID-19, he should be quarantined. This person do not have COVID-19, he should not be quarantined. There was a quarantine center where furnished, Mr. Yo, with beds, everything was there, but testing was not being done. And the same situation was when you go to Boyatown Fee, the Boyatown Stadium that was constructed, we had a quarantine center. Now, that center, what was the function of that center if testing in the entire southwest region? Mr. Lord, just do a small quick test survey in the entire Cameroon. How many testing sites do we have in the divisions, like in Kumba? Just look at Bamenda Womb, in Donga Mantum, come to Fako. How many testing centers? And we're looking at the resurgence of COVID-19. To me, the government still has a great role to play. And we as a people we need to help the government to play this, and the government needs to understand that the people can determine how they can fight COVID-19. One of the measures we can help the government is to ensure that when the curfew is being put in place, we respect it. In Kenya, what happened is that between 10 p.m. there's a total shutdown. 10 p.m. no nightclub, no bars. They reduce the tension. And if you are walking on the street, you should be spotted with your face mask and you have your hand sanitizer. But the situation is totally different in Cameroon. We take everything for granted and everything is relaxed. You go to the bars, people are dancing. The government stopped the Women's Day celebration, but there was this celebration in Yaoundé. Some women came out, but what did the government do? Nothing. Look at even the minister, a top minister, I will not call the name, a top minister in our house in a legislative house. Everybody had the face mask, and it was mandated by the prime minister, head of government, that people should have face masks. A minister who come up, a top minister who come up without face masks. What kind of example do we live in Cameroon? To me, I will tell you that the testing side, the premature, you said they have dismantled it. Yes, they have dismantled it because they didn't know what to do with it. They didn't plan it. They were just doing a copy and pasting to tell the international community that, yeah, we have this side, we have this, but the testing center were not there.
Okay. Mr. Leo, as to what concerns the way forward to this vaccine, I will say that let Africans reason Africa. Come to think of it, is this disease killing in Africa than in the Western world? What happened with Monseigneur Kleda's vaccine? I think they are just looking for a way to sell the AstraZeneca stuff, Fotola. No, but that's not the only vaccine that is given out there. This one says, good evening, Mr. Leo. I'm Apostle Patrick from Yaoundé. The program is interesting. Above is my proposed solution. You expect MPs, senators, mayors, and 65 ministers to be the ones to first take the vaccine in Cameroon. Okay, Barrister William Gouvet, writing from Boya, says, greetings to the panelists. Go back to the creation of an African health organization. We can't survive with our health dependence on the West. You think so too? That there is need for the creation of an African health organization?
That's absolutely correct. I'm sure we deliberated that on this platform once. Yes. The truth is, Mr. Leo, it's not possible that the WHO should be controlling all sicknesses and diseases across the world. Every continent has its uniqueness in drugs. If you go to Asia, the way they approach sicknesses and their types of drugs are not compared to what is produced in Europe and Africa. There's something done in China called acupuncture. It's a purely Asian culture. they used to attack certain sicknesses. There's not in Africa. We equally have our own way because of our system in Africa. We have the way we control things. Now, if at all, I said there once that the WHO has a clause that in case any disease erupts in the world and a particular continent discovers that cure, and then every continent of the world should face that continent for cure. I'm sure when the organics came up in Madagascar, it was better for the WHO to drag the attention of all world leaders to focus towards Madagascar or clear that in Cameroon, because that was what was treating the COVID-19. Why would those suddenly cause these drugs to disappear and then suddenly emerge with the vaccine? Is it obligatory? That's why I said this whole COVID-19 thing is a business. Pharmaceutical companies are looking for their means to make their income. It will shock you that I have a friend in Canada. He said to me that there is a drug, if you are leaving Canada to come to Cameroon, Africa as a Canadian, there's a drug you take, it kills typhoid for 20 years. Anti-typhoid for 20 years. You must have a Canadian citizenship, and then you must go with a social security number before they give that drug in the hospital. Once you take the tablet, you are against typhoid for the next 20 to 30 years. Now, if there are drugs like that which are sold in Europe, it tells you that the percentage of the drugs they send to Africa to fight against the sicknesses are just there to calm typhoid.
Why don't you send us these drugs to Africa?
They cannot send it there because that's what they make their money from. Why would they kill the virus or kill the bacteria or kill the germ that causes the typhoid when they know that if the typhoid dies in your system, they will never make money out of it again? Canadians cannot come to Cameroon and suffer typhoid. It's absolutely impossible. That's why in America there is no cure to malaria. If somebody is sick in America that has malaria, they have to send bags of leaves from here to America because they don't have it, they don't know it. Why? They have things they take that are anti-malaria, anti-typhoid, but yet they send things in Africa that cannot even treat the typhoid. A Congolese young doctor discovered a cure to malaria through the Artemisia plant, and he was annihilated because pharmaceutical companies are making their money through this. So AstraZeneca is a business, and I repeat.
Okay. Mr. Leo, good evening. Well, to Papa God be the glory. What do the white people want from us, the Africans? Why can the government not give money to our bishop in Douala to make more of it? Please, 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 let this not send people to hell fire for even allowing the vaccine to enter this country. I want to know if there is something we took from the white man country. What are we fighting for? Okay, good evening to you. Thanks for proving all the... Okay, you see, my media prime is my choice. Thank you for patronizing us. Indeed, we need a vaccine, but my question is, are you sure that if the vaccine comes to Cameroon, they won't mix some minor chemicals to inject the president so as to show us that he has taken the vaccine, whereas it wasn't a vaccine? We are left on our own. Jane Kwele, writing from Douala here. This one says, show this on TV. Let people know what is happening about COVID vaccine. I've received the video. I'll show it. Good evening, Mr. Liu. How many people have died in the northwest and southwest Cameroon because of COVID-19? But guns are killing every day in English Cameroon. Chin Chili, Abigail Binui, writing from Douala. This one says, somebody says, Apostle Ambe, you should not join politics. You should stay objective. Hi, Mr. Leo. Good evening. I'm Mercy from Osin. I think this issue of corona should be left on individuals because they are people that would want to take, even if you send a town crier out for them not to take. Okay. Hello, Mr. Leo. The only safety place for the people is Christ, not vaccination. If doubt, ask them. Also come up with a vaccine against Boko Haram or other crises around the world. I'm Augustine, writing from Gabon. Quelle est la place de la population pour cette virus qu'est-ce qu'on doit faire aussi?
Oui, c'est très important de le souligner. Moi, j'ai entendu le confrère tirer un peu sur le gouvernement en disant qu'ils organisent ci, ils font ça, les bars sont ouverts et par contre ailleurs, non. Soyez un peu sérieux lorsqu'on parle de la Covid. Moi, je l'ai toujours dit depuis l'entame et je crois même que c'est le seul problème qui devrait rassembler tous les hommes politiques. Comme ça l'a été ailleurs. C'est-à-dire, à un moment, on dit non, c'est un ennemi commun, on s'associe, on déclut l'ennemi, et après on retrouve les stratégies pour se battre entre nous. Parce que le gouvernement camerounais, ça il faut le dire, il faudrait qu'on soit honnête, un minimum d'intérêt dessus, se bat comme il peut pour éradiquer cette maladie. Vous convenez avec moi, lorsque ça a commencé, on n'avait aucune connaissance, on ne savait pas quoi faire. Et ça se présentait un peu comme une cacophonie au niveau du gouvernement. Chacun voulait dire quelque chose parce qu'il y avait une peur et puis tout le monde était excité à dire ci et à dire ça. Mais aujourd'hui quand même, progressivement, on voit un État ou alors un pays qui prend le contrôle. Maintenant, les centres de dépistage collectif sont connus. Vous allez à Bonamoussa dit au parcours Vita de 8h à 12h, de 6h à 12h, vous êtes convaincu que vous seriez détesté. Et un protocole gratuitement vous sera offert, ce qui n'était pas possible hier. Ça, il faudrait qu'on le dise. Vous allez à Nilon, il y a des espaces de dépistage collectif et des protocoles sont remis. Donc progressivement l'État camerounais fait comme il peut pour pouvoir éradiquer cette maladie. Heureusement, et à côté de ça, il y a la méthode Cléda qui n'est pas à négliger. Le véritable problème que nous avons, c'est nous, les populations, qui malheureusement, il faudrait qu'on le dise aux téléspectateurs, nous sommes un peu têtus. Ça c'est vrai, il faudrait qu'on le dise. Marchez dans les ruelles de la ville de Douala, vous comptez des personnes qui portent leur cache-nez. On a l'impression que ça ne dit rien à personne. Et quand vous dites Corona, quelqu'un vous dit « Ah, c'est les affaires des Blancs ». Moi, j'ai entendu des gens le dire. Et je crois que vous aussi, vous aviez entendu. On n'y croit pas. On n'y croit pas. Oui, l'Africain est fort, l'Africain est solide. Mais il est important qu'on dise aux Camerounais que la Corona existe. C'est un virus qui existe. Le gouvernement camerounais tente de sensibiliser les populations. Chaque jour, vous n'avez qu'à voir le tweet du ministre de la Santé, qui chaque jour vous dit, respectez les mesures barrières. Moi, j'entends des gens me dire, on a organisé, je ne sais pas comment vous appelez ça, des concerts. Mais on ne vous a pas obligé. Moi, je ne suis pas allé. Et rassurez-vous, personne ne m'a arrêté. Rassurez-vous, personne ne m'a arrêté. Ça veut dire quoi? La seule chose, et pour l'instant, moi je le dis aux Camerounais, la seule chose qui peut nous sauver maintenant et avec assurance, c'est le respect de nos mesures barrières.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. God bless you. Michelson is writing from Yaoundé. Good evening to you. All watching us from Yaoundé. This one says, good evening, Mr. Leo. The best way to avoid the vaccine is to respect the barrier measures. So my salutation to the entire panel. Muhammadu is also writing from Yaoundé. The government is targeting the financial interest for accepting to administer the vaccine, not her citizens. Reximo writing from Tombel. Good evening to you, Reximo. Good evening. I'm Francis from Koteng, Yaoundé. Played this video to Cameroonians. Okay, many persons are sending videos to be played. Mr. Leo, Pastor Ambe's wisdom is given by the Almighty God. Stay far from politics because people will not understand you. Okay. Apostle, this is the second person writing. Yes.
Yes, Mr. Kum, I wanted to say that, people are saying that they want those that are in charge of the country to be able to take the vaccines first. To me, it's funny because in everything we have the first class, the second class, and the third class. Those officials can take the best vaccines, those that are really good, and they come and administer the first one for the population. We have nothing to, verify. All of us, we are not in charge of, scientists in charge of, vaccines and all that. So that's the dilemma around this thing. And to tell my doctor that recently said that, Cameroonians do not believe that there is COVID-19. In the beginning, during the first phase, Cameroonians believed. It is because the government itself showed the Cameroonians the wrong example. Because the way they managed the issue of COVID-19 gave Cameroonians the tendency that there is no COVID-19 in Cameroon. Because you cannot tell me that they didn't force people to go for Fali Ipupa's concert. The government government would have said no, as they refused the Women's Day manifestation to be able not to take place. That's the same thing they were supposed to do. But they allowed this concert to take place. It means the government is money-centered. They are not centered about, the health or the well-being of its population. That is one thing. So that discourages most of Cameroonians to believe that there is COVID-19 in Cameroon. That's the truth.
Just a quick interjection, addition. I totally disagree with what Doctor said about nobody was forcing anybody to go out. The government is a law, and the law, if the government is not there, the people will not function. The bars are still open, the nightclubs are still open, the vehicles are still being overloaded, bags of rice that were given during the quarantine period disappeared into thin air. People, what are we saying? So if you cannot give people the courage, doctor, this is marginalization, because if I had to enter your own, they say women marginalize a woman. Now you are marginalizing me, because it's my turn to speak. This is what happened. If the government cannot respect the same measures, a minister who ought to have wear cashmere cannot wear cashmere, that we see on TV and we respect. What are you telling Cameroonians? If centers are supposed to be there to test COVID-19, they are not there, and we have quarantine centers without testing, what are you telling Cameroonians? If the markets are still crowded, the schools are still very operational, what are you telling Cameroonians? The government must be the police of the people and ensure that the people live according to the law.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. Good evening, Mr. Leo. There is no doubt COVID-19 is real, but I think a few people in our country seem not to care about us. But what will enter their individual accounts? Everything from the screening to the treatment is questionable, but personally I think we as individuals need to be careful and stay safe. Health is life. Remember, our government should promote a Reverend Father Cleda's medicine. Tata Franklin, writing from Yaoundé. Good evening to you, Franklin. Good evening, Mr. Liu. This is Pastor Eteng from Boya. God bless you, Apostle Ambe. The COVID-19 vaccine is a trap to destroy Africa. If all could see, then this nonsense will be stopped. Good evening, Mr. Liu. It's Michael from Kongsamba. So grateful of what you are doing. This one says more than 100 million persons have been vaccinated. There are less than 1,000 incidents. This is less than insignificant. I prefer to take the jab rather than die under some breeding machine. Roland is writing from Boya. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Truly, each time I see Apostle Ambe, I see late Batibison. He's a square peg in a square hole. The vaccine needed in Cameroon now is the Anglophone crisis vaccine. Our government is not serious about the pandemic. Thanks to you, panelists in the house. You guys are so wonderful people. Love you all and the program. George is writing from Kumba. Good evening to you, George, and Didi Banderas from Kumba. Tomorrow in the program, we are going to be looking at what is happening in most of our schools. Sex scandals are happening almost everywhere. People are caught, students are caught with men. Students are caught in groups of 20s having sex together, and a host of others. We are going to be asking the question as to what is wrong. But we are also going to be looking at the Post and newspaper's caption that is saying that a French foreign affairs minister of France is proposing or is advocating that there should be peace talks between the Cameroon government and the separatists. Meanwhile, the Canadians are condemning the actions of separatist fighters. We're going to be discussing that on Prime. Tomorrow, we want to say thank you for you all who came for the programme. Dr. Simon, merci d'être passé par ici.
Merci, c'est un plaisir. Mais permettez-moi de remercier le confrère qui dit, et puis j'aime bien l'entendre souvent, les gens disent non, le gouvernement doit faire ci, il doit frapper fort. Mais ce qu'il oublie, vous vous souvenez, lorsque les policiers arrêtaient des benskins en chemin parce qu'ils n'ont pas porté le cache-nez et puis ils prenaient 500, alors c'est les mêmes personnes qui venaient dire les policiers sont en train d'escroquer de l'argent. Non, soyons sérieux, je crois. Le meilleur vaccin pour l'instant, c'est le respect des mesures barrières.
Okay, thank you, Apostle, for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Leo. Thank you, Cameroonians. It's a privilege and a joy to be here. God bless you all.
Okay, we equally want to say thank you to you, Ba Akwen.
Thank you, Mr. Leo. It's a privilege being invited today.
And to you, Tamai Jarvis, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Leo. Thanks to all those who took our time. Once again, good evening to the Bishop of Boya, His Lordship Michael Bibi, and of course, good evening, Baba Juhut, good evening, Yaoundé, good evening, Boya, and good evening, Bamenda.
Thank you, Eli, and thank you to you, Desmond, Bertrand, and Noel for producing the program. We only want to say thank you to you. Tabi Tambe Bryant, who is supervising our work out here, and a special good evening to you, Didi Banderas out there in Kumba. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.